There's actually a study about 7 or 8 years ago that studied this basic concept, which is the fact that a patient being put into the same contact lens year after year. But the study I read was actually, at what point did they stop seeing value in the eye exam? Anybody have an idea of when that happened? What year they kind of started to see less value in it?
Year 1 contest.
Say that again.
Year 1 contest.
Pretty close. So I heard year 3. You're really close. It's about 3.2 years was the average on it. So about the third year, they started seeing that. And that study was done 7 or 8 years ago. So something's happened since then. It's a video that will play. A video that won't play.
Great dramatic pause.
I know, it's amazing. So instead of playing the video, which the video would have been so much more impactful right now, but what I will tell you is, has anybody heard of Alternative? Everybody know what Alternative does? The online refraction. So they actually have, and I'll challenge you to go if you want to see it, it's on YouTube, and they put it on a regular basis, in which they talk about, is it better, 1, calling in and scheduling an appointment with your optometrist, or 2, having your morning coffee? 3, and they go through this whole thing where they talk about the hassles that go along with going into an optometrist's office versus being able to do it from home while posting their dog photos on Facebook. That's the reality of what's out there. And so that patient that stopped seeing value in the eye exam just over year 3, 7 or 8 years ago, is now being pulled. So what's the price of the status quo? When you think about those patients, if they walk away, it costs 5 times more to attract a new patient than it takes to retain an old one. If a patient leaves without purchasing, there's a 58% chance they're not coming back because of the fact of 800 contacts, an alternative. If you lose their contact lens purchase, the chance of losing the rest of their business, eye exam, eyeglasses, everything, is triple. So how do we create loyalty with a distracted patient base? Anybody familiar with Procter & Gamble? You know the company, so they do all kinds of stuff out there. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Procter & Gamble had to go through a huge reorganization about 3 or 4 years ago. And the reason behind that reorganization is because, and I read a Forbes article on this, they went out and they were looking at their brands, so the total number of brands, and they have a laundry list of those, and they've actually cut down on the number of brands that they had because of what they were actually looking at. But they looked at all their brands, so across the board, all of their brands. Do you know what the percentage of their brands, not the percentage of the decline, but the percentage of their brands that they had seen a decline in? Any guesses? I'll do this one, it's early. 90%. 90% of their brands saw some sort of decline. So again, as we talked about, we don't have an unlimited marketing budget. Procter & Gamble is this huge organization. They can market for days. I don't know if anybody watched the Super Bowl, but Tide was, if you look at a lot of online chatter, Tide won the Super Bowl when it came to the Super Bowl ads. I personally like Eli Manning doing his Patrick Swayze interpretation, but nonetheless, Tide won the day. So they go into the marketing department, they're taking a look, and Procter & Gamble is trying to figure out what is happening that's driving this decline across all of our brands. And what they figured out was that their marketing message was off, right? So their marketing message, what Procter & Gamble has always lived on is tried and true, proven, we've been there for years. And I always equate this back. So my mom is a Tide person. And when she goes and shops, she goes down the aisle and she pulls Tide off. And unless something catastrophic happened where Tide was produced the wrong way and she put it in and it took all the color out of her clothes or something, she's going to be a Tide person for life. But there's this new consumer group that is now coming up through. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're called millennials. Digital natives, don't really like to talk to anybody, don't stay at jobs more than 6 months at a time, and very difficult to keep their loyalty because they're distracted. Well, that distraction is based upon the fact that they want new, they want innovative. And if you look, so Tide Pods, just so you know, and don't quote me on this because I don't have any scientific data behind it, but I'm pretty sure that Tide Pods are just Tide in a pod. That's it. I think they just put Tide in a pod. But they did it because then they can say the new Tide Pod, the new and innovative thing. So I grocery shop for our household. I do it every Saturday. I'll fly in Friday night. Saturday morning I'll get up and I'll take my 2 little girls and we'll go to the grocery store. And as I walk down the aisle, because I read on this stuff, because I keep up to date and look, I notice it all the time. You walk down the aisle and everywhere you look, there's something that's being repackaged or made new or innovative because they're trying to speak to the patient mindset, right? That's your patient base. That's their mindset. That's what they want. They want the newest thing. They want the most innovative thing. They want Alexa to tell them where to go. That's where we stand as a society now. And so ECPs, you guys, who continually innovate, have higher satisfaction ratings from their patients. There's a correlation between those two things. And from a contact lens wearer, they want that innovation. So 93% of contact lens wearers would like to try a new lens, which would improve comfort. 97% would like to try a new lens that would offer better eye health. And oh, by the way, of almost all those patients that would take a lens that would offer better eye health, 83% of them are willing to spend more money to do so. That's your patient base. So if you want that loyalty, if you want that growth, the key behind that is innovation.